for a lot of vegans, deciding to adopt a vegan lifestyle is a way to reduce the demand that so many people have for animal products, and they want to support industries that are more ethical and more sustainable.
This episode is brought to you by my book, Get Your Stuff Done. Review what's inside and purchase it at izoldat.com/getyourstuffdone. Hello and welcome to the Creative Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Izolda Trachtenberg. Whether you're writing the first sentence of a book or solving the climate crisis, to get people's attention, you need to tell your story creatively. On the show, I interview peak performers who are coming up with those creative stories and solutions. Through creativity, compassion, and collaboration, they're changing the world. I also bring you ideas and techniques to unlock your potential to do the same. And now, let's get to the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Creative Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Izolda Trachtenberg. Welcome to another Vegan Life Solutions episode. Today I want to step back a little bit and talk about why veganism, right? Veganism is a lifestyle choice that's been gaining popularity in recent years, and a vegan diet excludes all animal products, including meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. And the reasons for going vegan can vary, but they usually involve concerns about animal welfare, environmental sustainability, and personal health. And I know that there are vegans out there that say that if you're vegan for any reason other than for the animals, that you're plant-based. But for the purposes of this episode, I'm going to talk about veganism as a lifestyle choice that is more encompassing, in addition to, and of course, for the animals, that there are other reasons that people might also incorporate a vegan lifestyle. But let's talk about animal welfare first. Animal welfare, I would say, is one of the most common reasons that people choose to adopt a vegan lifestyle. For a lot of vegans, the idea of consuming animal products is objectionable. It's morally objectionable because they believe it's wrong to exploit and harm animals. One of the biggest concerns, I think, related to animal welfare is the treatment, the way we treat animals in factory farms, right? Factory farming involves, it's about raising large numbers of animals in confined spaces, often in overcrowded, unsanitary, unhealthy conditions, for sure. And doing it can cause immense, huge physical and emotional suffering for the animals because they're unable to engage in natural behaviors and often develop problems of various sorts, certainly health problems. Also, many factory farms engage in practices that are horrific, like debeaking, tail docking. They castrate the male animals without anesthesia, and obviously that causes great pain to the animals themselves. And also, in addition to the welfare concerns related to factory farming, many vegans also object to the use of animals in other ways, in other industries, like animal testing, certainly, fur, of course, and also entertainment. And these industries, I think, subject animals to unnecessary suffering, and many vegans believe that this treatment of animals in these ways is unacceptable. And for a lot of vegans, deciding to adopt a vegan lifestyle is a way to reduce the demand that so many people have for animal products, and they want to support industries that are more ethical and more sustainable. And so by eating plant-based vegan foods and using cruelty-free products, a lot of vegans, they take a stand against the exploitation of harm of animals in these ways. Now, it's interesting because some people will say that not all vegans, or people who will consider themselves vegans, are going to prioritize animal welfare in the same way. Some may be focused on other aspects, such as environmental sustainability. And I know that there are vegans out there that say that you're not vegan, that you're plant-based if you're doing that. But again, I'm taking a more sort of holistic approach to all of this. But animal welfare, no matter what, is going to be a key factor of veganism for lots of people, and it's a driving force behind the growth, I think, of the entire vegan movement, right? But let's talk about some of the other reasons people might go vegan and not use animal products of any sort, right? Another reason could be environmental sustainability, right? It's why people would choose to adopt a vegan lifestyle in addition to for the animals, because, for me, I'm vegan for the animals, of course. But the production of animal products, it's been linked to a variety of environmental issues like deforestation, right? In order to make room for farms, they clear forests, especially in South America. Greenhouse gas emissions, certainly, and water pollution with animal feces, and degradation and erosion of the land that could otherwise be used for plant farming. And one of the biggest environmental concerns about animal agriculture, in addition to, of course, not harming the animals, I get that. It's the production of greenhouse gases, right? Especially methane and nitrous oxide, or actually nitrogen oxide, I should say. And they're much more potent than carbon dioxide. So, in terms of their effect on global warming. And interestingly, according to the United Nations, animal agriculture is responsible for about 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which is more than the entire transportation sector combined. So, by consuming a plant based diet, people can really reduce their carbon footprint and sort of help mitigate the effects of climate change. And I get that there are vegans out there who'd go, that's not veganism, that's being plant-based. I am looking at it from that more holistic perspective, because animal agriculture is a factor in this, and so the animals are being affected. We are affecting the animals by participating in animal agriculture, and another offshoot of that is that it's contributing to the climate crisis, right? So that's something to think about, right? Farming animals is going to require tons of land and water and other resources, certainly soil, and it takes a couple of 1,000 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of dead cow, compared to, let's say, like 20 and some odd gallons of water to produce a pound of wheat. And as someone who doesn't eat wheat, it's interesting to me to say that. I also don't eat wheat, but I also don't eat meat. I don't eat animals. Of course, I'm vegan. But if people eat more plant-based foods, they can help reduce that strain on some of these resources, right? Water and soil. And we would be using the land and the resources in general a lot more efficiently. So we can look at all of this. We can look at deforestation, for example, which can contribute to soil erosion and soil loss and a loss of biodiversity. And so there are lots of other environmental problems that we can address by adopting a vegan lifestyle. And it's because of the demand for land for grazing animals that we are deforesting huge swaths of land. I actually put together a little video that maybe I'll link to in the show notes. I put a little video together looking at, over about 10 years, the deforestation in a certain part of Brazil, and you can just see it happen. You can just see the land being cleared. You can see it going from green to these lines of what is deforested land, and it's just awful, frankly. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to put that up so that you can see what it is. But anyway, if people eat vegan, if they eat more plant-based, they can help reduce that impact on the environment. And it promotes conservation, it promotes sustainability. It requires less use of soil, less water, less energy to produce plant products than it would to produce animal products. So that's another way that being vegan will help, right? That's something that we can look at. And some vegan food products are going to have a larger footprint than others, right? It depends on the production methods, the transportation of getting these products to market, the packaging, how is it packaged, where is it coming from, all of that. But still, a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, is going to be more environmentally friendly, more eco-conscious than a diet that is going to involve any or include any animals. Now let's look at another reason people might adopt a vegan lifestyle. For me, one of the things is I love being guilt-free, right? I don't use any animal products, so I just feel better on the whole. I have no guilt about anything I use. My cleaning products, my makeup, the clothes that I wear, I use no animal products in any of that. And also my health is better just in general because I'm vegan. But let's take a look at that, right? There's a lot of evidence that says that vegan diets can offer health benefits, right? It can reduce the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, perhaps certain cancers. So if there's a potential to reduce a risk of heart disease, which I think is like the number one killer of humans, it's amazing, right? Because a vegan diet is going to be typically low in saturated fats and cholesterol, because cholesterol only comes from animals, that can contribute to a healthier heart. So amazing, right? And vegan foods are going to be typically higher in fiber, and that can reduce cholesterol levels certainly, and since we produce cholesterol in our own bodies, but it can improve overall health, which is amazing. And it could potentially mitigate type 2 diabetes, which is because a lot of these vegan foods are going to be lower in refined sugars, higher in fiber, although I'm not a nutritionist, so, always check with your doctor about this sort of stuff. But it is interesting how, other than vegan junk food, which it probably is still better than the non-vegan version of that junk food, you're going to be eating, on the whole, better if you are eating a plant-based and vegan diet. So there's certain evidence for a lot of this that it can offer benefits to overall health and well-being. Again, I love feeling essentially guilt-free, right? And I love having sort of primary sources of food. I get my vitamins directly from the actual vegetables or legumes or whatever it is I'm eating, instead of once removed by eating an animal that had eaten those. And so those nutrients go through the animal, and then I'm trying to get the nutrients, but I'm not getting all of them because the animal was using some of the nutrients. So it's better for me, all in all, to eat directly from the source. And of course, I'm not a nutritionist, so you have to make sure that you know your health needs and make sure you get the right amounts of vitamins like B12 and things like that. But there is something to think about with respect to this, because it's about, for me, it's about the animals, it's about the environment. To an extent, it's about my health, but really a lot of it ends up being my spiritual health, sort of my ethical beliefs, and making sure that they are in the forefront. Again, in part because I like to live guilt-free. I know it's a strange way of looking at it, but it's true. And I think other people do too. I think there are other sort of spiritual paths, religious paths, that have this ethical perspective, right? That a vegan diet or a vegan lifestyle would be rooted in sort of a moral or a spiritual or religious conviction. And that could be because you believe in the inherent right to exist of all living beings, right? In the inherent worth and the inherent value of all living beings. And so why would you eat one? And there are lots of people out there, especially anybody who believes in Hinduism or Buddhism or Jainism, that the idea of nonviolence, or what they call ahimsa, A-H-A. Let's see, I'm spelling it wrong. AHIMSA. And ahimsa sort of emphasizes the importance of living in a way that is going to minimize harm to all living beings. And that includes, of course, animals. So for people who follow these traditions, being vegan is going to sort of be a natural extension of those ethical beliefs. And I'm not Buddhist, and I'm not Hindu, or I'm not a follower of Jainism. I just really believe in the sanctity of all life and of all beings, and that means no eating anything with a face or that moved around on its own. That was or a product from anything with a face or that moved around on its own. That's sort of my line in the sand. So I guess for me, I kind of feel like I follow a path that emphasizes compassion and kindness and respect for all living beings, right? And that means that the consumption, if I were to eat animals or animal products, that would be wrong for me. I would find it objectionable, and I do find it objectionable. So killing, exploiting animals in this way, it violates my personal values, my ethics, and my principles. So in order to align myself with those principles, I have to be vegan. Otherwise, I am not following my true path. So again, it's a way to look, for me, it's a way to look at all of this that feels very true to myself. And it's very personal. Everybody's going to have a different reason for going vegan. And if you have questions and you want to talk about it, I'd be delighted to chat with you, because look, there are lots of reasons people to sort of choose to adopt this lifestyle, being vegan. And whether you're motivated by sort of concern about the animals or environmental sustainability or personal health or your ethical or moral values, for me personally, as I said, I've said this a couple times in this episode, I know that there are people out there who are going to go, oh, you're not really vegan if you're doing it for the environment. I feel like the earth is an organism. It's one big, gigantic biosphere, and that means that any, harm to any part is harm to all. And so for me, that's sort of the encompassing set of values, is that harming any part of it means I'm harming all of it, and harming any part of the earth means I'm harming all parts of the earth in some way. So I find that a combination of all of those things just reminds me daily that I want to live guilt-free, and that means doing as much as I can to leave the smallest footprint, and to, more importantly for me, to harm no animals in any way. I don't want to participate in that way of living, in that way of being. So veganism is continuing to grow. There are so many people going vegan every day. So as it continues to grow, sort of as it continues to get more popular, we need to really think about why. Why are so many people going vegan? And if you have questions about it, again, I'd be delighted to talk with you. You can leave a message, there's a link, you can leave a voicemail, and if you do that, I will put you on the show. But I'd love to know from you, if you're vegan, what made you go vegan? And if you're thinking about it, what are your reasons for doing it? I would love to hear about that, because it is something that for me personally is really important. I am always interested in knowing why people do what they do. So I would love to hear from you about it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and this is Izolda Trachtenberg for the Creative Solutions Podcast, reminding you, and again, this in thinking about this thing that I say at the end of every episode, that really is, it encompasses everything for me, because I say be bold. So in other words, live your truth. Take the actions that are for your highest, deepest self. Be creative, and inherent to creativity to me is curiosity, it's imagination, it's innovation, it's that spark of dynamism. And be kind, which to me is about compassion and ultimately veganism. So when I say these words to you, that's what I'm talking about. Be bold, be creative, be kind.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Izolda Trachtenberg and is copyright 2023. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, keep living what you believe in.